All right. Welcome, everyone. This is another exciting first that we have for the episode because this is going to be our first video episode. You all get a look into the dungeon. Please enjoy the view and welcome our guest, Philip Novacek.
Thank you, Anna. I'm honored to be the first male guest. Really shattering the glass ceiling here.
Yeah, now one may wonder, what is Philip going to share about fertility and warming of the womb? And
Not much.
The answer is nothing. He will be sharing nothing. Well, one of the purposes of this podcast is to inject levity into what can be a difficult topic. And so I've brought Philip on to do just that.
It's what I'm here for, people. Available anytime.
What we are going to do today, which both of us are very excited about, is delve into our own childhood. And we are going to do that through the methodology of the bracket system. Now, we may all be familiar with the bracket system. For those of you who are not, it is much like the March Madness bracket. Instead of basketball teams in the NCAA, we are going to do our childhood memories.
It's a foolproof method.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I would say that 92% of the time, the winner is legitimate and the best in the field. And there's a lot of discussion, a lot of consideration that goes into the decision, that goes into the bracket making. Thankfully, we have established the bracket already for you.
That could have been a 3-hour podcast in itself.
Yeah, it was.
It's emotional.
It was tenuous. Yeah, the field is competitive as always. We have it broken down into 4 different regions, but really before we get into those 4 regions, I want to give a brief background of, who we are / where we fall in the family line, because I think that that's important for the people to know. So our family has 6 kids, right? There are 3 older sisters, and then a brother, Stephen, and then me, and then Philip. Now, Philip was born, if you are a loyal listener, you will know Philip was born the morning that my brother Stephen passed away. So Philip is without a doubt my mom's favorite.
Yeah, locked up. She's never denied it, also. She's heard it many times, and she's never been like, no.
Yeah, there's no question.
She's just giggled.
My dad, it's questionable. I think he has, I don't know, I think he's a toss-up.
I feel like there's a lot of options for Dad. I feel like mainly, I always feel like you and Julie are like really...
That's what I feel too. I didn't want to say it, but...
Yeah. I think mine and Dad's relationship is a little bit different. We have like the coach-player relationship. There's other layers there. Yeah. But in terms of like the level of love that Mom has for me, the mirror of that, I feel like Dad, it's you and Julie. It's kind of a toss-up. Yeah.
I think so. So
Lydia and Gail are cool too. They're fine.
I think my parents like them too. So we fall at the bottom of the lineup, so we are the funniest, obviously.
It's a given.
Yeah, I think that's how you survive as the youngest children. And our sister is 11 years older than Philip. No, 14. Mm-hmm. Oldest sister is 14 years older and 12 years older. So growing up, we didn't see them much. They were off at college. They were with boyfriends. Loved it when we saw them. But it was mostly Philip, Lydia, and I who hung out. And then Lydia got kind of cool.
Yeah. She went through a cool phase a little bit.
She went to middle school. She went to high school. Got a boyfriend. So again, Philip and I were left to our own devices. This is, before phones, before a lot of technology, and before sports were like everything in your life. I mean, baseball was a lot in your life.
Baseball was a lot, yeah.
In all of our lives.
Yeah. Baseball impacted everyone a lot.
But, so we had a lot of time on our hands. We figured out what to do. So this is going to be our childhood memories list. And with that, we'll dive into the bracket and the scoring methodology. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, great. We have our producer here, Courtney, and she is going to hold up the bracket for us in front of the camera. Mind if I do? So we can see it.
Should we give a brief disclaimer about church?
Yeah.
And its rightful seating?
Yes. There we go. I think that's good. You could give it back.
Yeah.
And thank you.
I think your moment's done. Back to producing.
Wanted them to be able to read it.
I know, it's true. You can pause if you need to read it. Exactly. Yes, please.
So when we were filling out the bracket, we did originally think like we should probably throw our faith and church in there, as it is a huge part of our identities. However, it felt like it was a bit of an overpowered seed. So it would have been an obvious 1 seed. We felt like it kind of would have rolled. And so we have eliminated it from competition for the sake of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And
an argument.
Yes, exactly.
Because at the end of the day, like, you throw in Jesus Christ and that's a trump card.
Yeah.
So it's more like the NBA.
It's like the 90s Indians were really good, but...
Yeah.
Not...
But do they beat Jesus Christ? And
exactly.
It's hard to make that argument. And, we want to stay within the bounds of non-blasphemy. Yes.
Exactly.
What we would like to do here.
We're an NB podcast here.
So with that, we have 4 regions. We have our trips region, 4 seeds in both. So this is only a 16 team bracket. We didn't go with the 64. We could have, but we spared everyone. Today we'll just be going through the first round. We have our trips region, our everyday life. That's what did we do on a day-to-day basis. We have life-shaping moments or traditions. And then we finally have activities. How did we occupy our time? This is probably going to be very enlightening for many of our family members.
Yep, I feel like people are going to learn a lot about us right now.
Yep. So with that said, Phil, would you like to go over the scoring methodology and how we're considering who is the ultimate victor in these matchups?
Yeah, so there's obviously, it's an emotional bracket here, but we do have some guidelines. We're looking at momentary impact of each event or just activity on here. We're looking at the lasting impact, how it's affected us throughout the rest of our lives. The nostalgic strength, looking back after a couple of high noons. What are we thinking about? What are we talking about? And then the overall life impact, just the all-encompassing, how big was this overall in our lives to this point?
Excellent. Are we ready?
I think we're ready.
Okay. We'll start with the first region, trips. We have the 1 seed, Cedar Point, in that region. Strong 1 seed. Number 2, trips to Ellicottville. Ellicottville was a skiing, snowboarding spot up in New York, grandparents' house. Number 3 was the cruise, an iconic cruise that we went on with our family. And number 4, Sunset Beach, our summer family vacation. So we'll start with the 1 versus 4 matchup. Cedar Point versus Sunset Beach. Philip, the floor is yours.
I mean, anyone who knows me knows what direction I'm going with here. I feel like, should I start arguing? I don't even know if I need to argue anything. I think, Cedar Point, right, Cedar Point, it's iconic. People travel from around the world to little Ohio to go to Cedar Point, the roller coaster capital of the world. Growing up, I think that not only is it a destination, you could really put this under life shaping. You put it in any of these categories. There were times where out of the entire summer, all I remembered was the trip to Cedar Point. I would say like the first ride on Magnum, with Dad. Which, by the way, okay, common misconception here. I did not pee myself on the first ride on Magnum. It was the second ride later that night. I wasn't scared. It was just a long line. Those are long lines there. Yeah.
If you don't time your bathroom breaks appropriately, it gets dangerous.
Exactly.
Yeah, Cedar Point holds a lot of memories. You also have Mitch trying to, our brother-in-law, who is a very, tough football player, was trying to convince little 12-year-old me to get out of the line for Millennium Force because he was scared. He was frightened. Obviously, I went on Millennium Force. I was not scared.
It's a given.
I was
Built
ready,
different.
obviously. Yeah. You have, Philip spent hours looking up Cedar Point fun facts.
Oh, still now, we could test this out right now. You can name a roller coaster at Cedar Point, and I can list off some fun facts for you.
Raptor. Let's do Raptor.
Raptor, perfect. 137 feet tall, 119-foot drop. Here's the layout. We go first hill, you turn left into the drop, vertical loop into the 0G roll. Then you do a double inversion in the Cobra roll. After the Cobra roll, you hit the mid-course brake run, drop down into the first of 2 corkscrews, and then you go a little bit to the right, second of 2 corkscrews, into a double helix to finish. And for the record, that was off the top. Any ride I can do this for.
As a side note, we might need to unpack a little bit more about your addiction to Cedar Point. This actually might be a negative, but it's for sure impactful. And I think the fact that we are going tomorrow
that's
with our
huge.
niece and nephew, passing on that tradition to the rest of the family is, highlights its overall life impact.
Yeah.
So I think, we can pull a lot of stories from there. Again, the peeing in line is a big one. The Mitch in line is a big one. I remember seeing a lot of couples who were sweaty making out, and that really impacted me.
That's all part of the experience. Yeah.
That's all. Like, how do you even want to touch each other? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a struggle. I mean, I think that Cedar Point's rolling through the first 3 quarters. Let's see if Sunset Beach can make any sort of comeback at all.
Sunset Beach was fun.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I liked it there.
Okay, but let's just go there because we did have some boyfriends come to Sunset Beach, and Mitch, again, who's now our brother-in-law, came one year, and we played some epic Pictionary games. That was fantastic.
See, that's not like a positive memory for me, though.
Slow.
It's a lot of tears involved.
That's true. We won. We won on Cyclops. It was a big moment. It was 1v1, and Mitch threw up his hand. Cyclops! The crowd went wild.
The crowd did go wild, and then I started bawling. I cried a lot as a child.
That will be a common theme.
Yeah.
In our discussion is Philip's tears. I do think we loved Sunset Beach and we had fun there. It wasn't as momentous for us as it was for our other family members who went.
Yeah.
Because they're still going.
Right. Yeah, they still go every year. Yep.
We would have 100, 150 people from our town go down and run a house. But we're still going to Cedar Point.
Yeah.
And we're not still going to Sunset Beach.
Right.
So I think we got to go Cedar Point.
I think we got to go Cedar Point.
Cedar Point's rolling as a 1.
Yep.
Awesome. We're just going to move that guy on to the next round. CP.
I feel like the layout here is actually not conducive to moving Cedar Point on. That's okay. We know it's 1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll drop a new one after. So Ellicottville is the 2 seed.
Yes.
Against the Caribbean Cruise as the 3 seed. This is going to be a tighter matchup.
Yeah.
This could be. Do you want to start off with Ellicottville here?
Yeah, let's make a case for Ellicottville. So my grandparents had this little house, and Ellicottville is a small town by Hollymont, is the ski resort there. And it was a pretty small house, but it had a ton of bunk beds and a ton of beds. So I think it slept up to 25 people
it was
in a
crazy.
bed. It was wild. A lot of surface area covered by beds. Decorated like the 70s. And we'd go up there probably a few times a year before we got into high school.
Yeah.
And we'd go ski and snowboard occasionally because I did go through a brief snowboarding phase where I thought that was cool.
It was cool, objectively speaking. Yeah. Snowboarding was cool.
Still cool.
Yeah.
Still cool. I do it now. So that's a lasting impact.
There you go.
Still do snowboarding. I mean, I really feel like the core memories from that were falling on the mountain, a lot of falls, a lot of skiing in sleet. That I remember that a lot.
A lot of icy skiing.
Really cold. I remember going up there for New Year's and having some raspberry ginger ale. So I think that overall the trips up there were wonderful. I enjoyed them a lot. I don't know if there's one memory particular from there that stands out. But I did enjoy the whole experience.
Yeah. Couple of random fun facts about Ellicottville, which you may not be aware of.
Please.
My first sip of beer. I had never had a sip of beer before, and I asked my dad if I could have a little sip. And I tasted it, thought it was disgusting.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Father-son moment.
Yep, that was huge. Still remember that. The Lodge also. The Lodge was great.
The Lodge was
Lodge
great.
Uno games.
That's true.
Those were great.
Yeah, we're bringing back some memories.
Yeah.
And the chili in the Lodge.
Yeah.
I know.
The chili was really good.
Yeah.
And then also, it's not just about the ski resort. There's also the Barn restaurant there.
Yeah, I like the Barn restaurant.
That
and
place
it
was
was
great.
fun when it was super snowy and you were snowed in, you had to walk to the restaurant.
Yep.
That was exciting. I mean, I still love snowboarding to this day, and I love going to the mountains. So I do really feel like there's a lasting impact there.
Yep. Yeah, ski towns are still great. And,
top of my list. Okay, the cruise. Now, the cruise is indicative of Philip and my generous spirit,
yes.
I think.
Above all else.
Yes.
Our generous spirit.
I think that's important to highlight as an attribute of our childhood, was how giving we were. So my grandma and grandpa would take all of their grandchildren on cruises, but when it came time for Philip and me, my grandpa was getting old, so instead of going on a nice crystal cruise that had like the really high-end food and great amenities, we went on a lower-end cruise to the Caribbean and took our whole family.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, once again, we could have been in Europe gallivanting, living like kings.
Yep. Sacrifices we make.
Yeah, we made a lot. So we started in San Juan, and then we went to various islands. It was also the cruise that our sister Gail got engaged to Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
So that was exciting. But then also our other sister Julie was with a guy who shouldn't have been in the pictures, and he is no longer in the picture, obviously and thankfully.
Still in all those vacation photos.
And that kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yep.
Even though the cruise was very fun, we had some good dancing, played a lot of good bingo. What are your thoughts?
My lasting memory from the actual ship actually was the night that Gail and Mitch got engaged, and I could not wrap it around my head why Gail, who was 2 years younger than Julie, was getting engaged to be married before Julie did. I just felt like the order was off. And I said that as we were in line for dinner, and Julie had definitely been crying a lot, and she had pulled herself together for dinner, and then I was standing right next to her, and I was like, hey, why is Gail getting married before Julie? And so that and then Mom, that was like one of the few times Mom's been like really, really like stern with me. She was just like, and just gave me that look, and I was like, oh, sensitive topic. So
yeah, I feel like that. Okay, I'm voting Ellicottville on this one. Because the memories are a lot cleaner.
Right, yeah. It's not quite as messy.
And overall life impact, I would say, is we still like snowboarding and skiing.
Right.
So I think that's a strong life impact.
Yeah, that's true. Although I will say, the cruise was the first time I went snorkeling, and then got into scuba diving.
That's true.
Somewhat as a result of that. I'm still voting Ellicottville, but the cruise, I just want to make it clear that I have more memories than just me picking on Julie by accident.
I'll let the record show.
Let the record show.
Just wanted to put this little fact in there. The barn restaurant is actually closed now.
Oh, well, that's
permanently closed.
What?
Yes.
I wonder if it died during COVID.
Closed.
That's so sad. I was actually nervous that she was about to fact check me on the Raptor. We both know that's not happening. Go ahead, look it up. Let's see.
There's no fact check.
Yeah.
There's no use. All right. So we got moving on from.
Go to rcdb.com. It's rollercoasterdatabase.com, and then you can see the stats.
From trips, we have Cedar Point and Ellicottville, the 1 and 2 seed. They were the favorites coming in. They're moving on. They played as expected to potential.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with those choices.
Yeah. Okay, let's go over to life shaping.
Yeah.
Love that. All right, so the life shaping.
Really dig into how we became the people we are.
Region. Yeah, this is you're gonna go deep. So 1 is sitting on our roof.
It just doesn't sound as deep as what
of what it actually was.
Right,
so dive in. It's a strong 1 seed.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a reason for it being a 1 seed. That's going to be matched up against 4 exploring hotels.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2, the 2 and 3 seeds are similar in that they're individual events that we both, were obviously around for. 2 will be the PJ Pants funeral put on by Lydia and attended by Philip and me. And then 3 would be clogging the pool, which was fully me.
Yeah, that was you.
It was just me. So let's start with the 1v4. Mm-hmm. We got sitting on the roof, exploring hotels. Philip.
I was actually thinking about this. If I was a parent and I knew that my children were climbing out on top of the roof of the house
consistently.
Yeah, in like the just darkest time of the night. because that's when you see the stars. So when else are you going to go?
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be thrilled with that. That being said, I mean, I have nothing but great memories of sitting on the roof, and it's something that we continued to do and might do soon again here in our 30s. But I just think that as far as like the momentary impact, it's great. You get up there, it's just you, whoever you're with, the stars, conversation, and it's just so peaceful.
Yeah. You see shooting stars. You talk a lot about life. I feel like we solved a lot of our life problems sitting up there.
Yep, a lot of life problems.
For sure. And you get to see a lot of different constellations. That's always exciting. You can make up constellations. You pretend they're there. I think, one time see a disappearing star, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, didn't we see like an exploding star?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Big deal.
Yep.
And it's just so quiet and peaceful. Again, you feel like even though you're only 30 feet closer to the sky, you feel a lot closer. And then, of course, there is like the small adrenaline rush of you're on the roof on
all
top
fours,
of your
climbing up the steep incline.
Exactly. It's not shallow. It's not. There's a grade. There's for sure a grade.
Yeah.
It's not like a
You're not quite scrambling.
No.
But you're close.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not simple. So there's that adrenaline rush, I think, and the fact that you're bringing. Incidentally, the first person to take us climbing on the roof was Lydia. This was during her middle school rebel years. She had some rebel years during middle school in which she listened to Alanis Morissette. She loved Ironic. And we climbed on the roof. So
I feel like her rebel years kind of extended for a while, too. I feel like it just kind of kept going. She like buzzed her hair at one point.
I feel like her rebel years took a pause, and then she went into her free spirit.
Yeah, that's more. Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lydia's had a lot of phases, I feel like.
Yeah, she has had the most phases, I think, of all of those.
Very phase heavy.
So sitting on roof.
Also, as far as lasting impact and overall life impact, I would say that when I travel places now, I'm almost always looking for like dark sky reserves, places to go see the stars, doing night hikes.
Getting a lot of great photos.
Yeah, a lot of great photos.
For Phil's photos.
Yeah. You can go to pcgophoto.com, get 20% off your first order. This episode is actually brought to you by pcgophoto.com. Get 20% off your first order.
Putting code Anna. Don't.
Oh, yeah, nice. No, I can add that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Anna Dome.
Or womb.
Oh, nice. No, we'll do womb.
Okay,
yeah.
Womb. Put in code womb.
Yeah, womb 20. Yeah.
Exploring hotels. This was a phase that lasted, into our teen years for sure. But my teen years.
Yeah, like my 30s.
Yep. That's true.
To be totally honest here.
But so when we would go on trips with our parents, we would just go around and explore every inch of the hotel. And really the most iconic one is the classic, you may know of it now, people, the Courtyard by Marriott. I mean,
just unbelievable.
An open space in the middle, surrounded on all sides.
It's mind-blowing.
Absolutely mind-blowing. The foliage was beautiful in there, the plants.
Yep. Sometimes you had like a little gazebo thrown in there. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which was a great picture spot, so we'd take pictures there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think really, like, when you look at how it's been a lasting impact, it instilled a spirit of adventure.
Exactly.
In us,
yep.
Right? So I would say sitting on the roof instilled a spirit of
presence. Not even scripted.
Not even scripted. Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
And exploring is a sense of adventure. So I really think, when you put those up next to each other, I mean, neither of us would be complete without one of those.
Well, and also I would add on to that too, as far as the sense of adventure goes, the fact that we would search every floor of the hotel, even though they're all built the same, has impacted us in that if we go on when we did our hiking trip in Croatia and we were just exploring like every nook and cranny of the entire park, I think some of that lends to the hotel.
Yeah, and we covered a lot of ground. And then you see things that you might not otherwise see because they might all be built the same, but
Yeah.
one might have an ice machine.
Exactly, yeah. And it could be on the left, it could be on the right. You don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yep.
I feel... Okay, so...
It's decision time.
It is decision time. I think we have a strong case for both. It's definitely not a runaway for either. Which one are you going with?
I think I'm going sitting on the roof.
I know, me too.
All right. That's a relief.
It has to,
Yeah.
It does. It has to, because it's still something that we could do together on the roof.
Exactly.
So, yeah, okay, great. Sitting on the roof is moving on.
Boom.
This one could be a potential first upset where we have a 3 seed beating a 2 seed.
Mhm.
So we have the pajama pants funeral versus clogging the pool. Phil, I'll let you start with the pajama pants funeral.
Yeah, well, really with this bracket, I'm trying to look at mostly positive memories. It's not meant to be a therapy session, but this one I don't really have any positive memories of. There was, I was technically laughing for a period of time. For those who haven't heard the pajama pants funeral story, Lydia, who was again essentially running our lives for a period of time in our childhood, she had this disgusting pair of pajama pants that were torn, and they were, they needed to go. They had to get thrown out. Somehow Lydia convinced Mom, which I don't know how she got to keep those for that long.
Yeah.
But eventually it was time to get rid of the pajama pants. And so Lydia, in a way that only Lydia can, had a very dramatic pajama pants funeral in which we carried the pants down the driveway, waving them in the wind. And there was a point, when we started, I do remember when we started, to me it was genuinely funny when we started it. And then there was a moment when we're going down the driveway and I'm looking at these things blowing in the wind, and I'm like, this is really sad.
He was confronting death.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty horrifying. And again, Lydia was very dramatic about this. I cannot overstate that.
There was solemn music as we as we paraded down the driveway. And our driveway's not short.
No, it's a long driveway.
Yeah, it's a decent sized driveway you're parading.
Yeah. And we got down there, and then it came time to say goodbye. And Lydia asked me if I wanted to say any words, and I was still kind of laughing, but I was also just feeling a lot in that moment.
A lot of emotions.
And eventually those laughs just turned to tears. And I had no words. I just had raw emotion.
As we stood around the trash can where Lydia was cutting pieces of the pajama pants, throwing them away. And we had to share memories. And I looked at Lydia in this moment and was like, what have you done?
You've done with our brother.
So I would say, this is where the overall life impact or lasting impact, I feel like the nostalgic strength is good because that's a great story after a couple of high noons, right?
For sure. I think I told it to Courtney on our first date.
Yeah, it's a classic, right? However, overall life impact, I think you could tie it to your general affinity for tears during childhood. Because there were a lot of tears during childhood. Yeah. But as you've grown up, there are fewer tears. You are no longer crying.
Which is good, yeah. That's huge. Yeah.
So I would say the lasting impact is a little less. And I say that really because when we look at the next story, the clogging of the pool.
There was a lasting impact.
That tradition has continued on. So let's dive into that. Yep. The clogging of the pool. I was 12 years old, and we were at my sister's townhome in Chicago, and we were at her community pool. And we have to go back a couple months to when I was riding the bus. I was riding the bus, and as one hears conversations on the bus, I heard Julie Love talking about skinny dipping in their ponds, which was their own private ponds that only they were privy to.
If you're going to skinny dip, that's the ideal place.
Yeah, not a community pool necessarily. But it was in my head as I went into the hot tub of the community pool. And so the pool's outside, hot tub inside next to the fitness center and the showers, right? The changing rooms. So I'm sitting in the hot tub by myself, and I'm thinking, that conversation came back to me, and I was like, I never have gone skinny dipping, and that feels like something that
in all my 12 years,
my 12 12 years of life, I have not experienced this. And what am I missing out on? Should I do it now? Is now the time? Yes, now is the time. Let's just do it real quick, Anna, real quick. So I derobe. And then I counted to 5. I was like, okay, Anna, you got to do it for 5 seconds. Okay, 5 seconds is up. Great. I'll put on my bathing suit bottoms. Excellent. I'll put on my bathing suit top. Where is my bathing suit top? I don't know where my bathing suit top is. 12 years old. The bathing suit top seems to be gone. Someone walks by. I, cower in the corner. And I don't even think the bubbles weren't even on. I just lost the top. There are no bubbles. Top's just gone. So then I go into the
Wait, were the bubbles going when you disrobed originally? Wow, that's a bold move.
It's very bold.
Yeah.
I had one track mind. I couldn't think about logistics. I needed to.
I've never actually visualized this story for obvious reasons, but I think in my mind I thought there were bubbles.
I know it seems reasonable that there are bubbles. Exactly. I don't know why I probably would have had to get out to put the bubbles on. So, anyways, I scurry. I get up. The coast seems clear. I scurry back to the showers, and I sit in the showers. Well, then I can't leave because my clothes are outside at the pool. So finally, my oldest sister, Julie, comes in, and my sisters seem to be around for a lot of my embarrassing moments or seem to be victims of my embarrassing moments.
Well, let's remember, so you were 12. So Julie's 23. So yes. This is like this feels like something that would happen when you're the 23-year-old oldest sibling.
Not the 12-year-old. So, she comes in and I ask, I'm like, can you bring my clothes? I don't feel well. I don't even know if I said that. I was like, can you just bring my clothes? She brings my clothes. But see, now I have a dilemma in front of me. I could tell them because I want my bathing suit top back, or I could keep it to myself because it's a highly embarrassing story and it doesn't really need to be shared with anyone.
Spoiler alert on which way she went. It doesn't need to be shared with anyone. It needs to be shared with everyone.
Anyone listening. I told them. And I was like, I took off my bathing suit top and I lost it and I don't know what happened to it. Mom, could you... So Mom, being the warrior that she is, she had to deal with a lot of different children, man. She had her one child throwing a pajama pants funeral, another child.
The other child's bawling his eyes out during the pajama pants funeral.
So
I also, as a side note, again, thinking about parenting, I feel like that's a situation, the pajama pants funeral and yours, where I feel like as a parent, I'd be like, really? Yeah. This is what we're doing right now? This is how we're spending our day? Anyway, carry on.
You think you're doing right. So my mom the next day goes to the super, whoever is in charge of maintenance, and it's like, excuse me, my daughter lost her her bathing suit top here. Did you happen to find it? And the maintenance guy says, yes, it actually got sucked into the filter and clogged the pools and it overflowed this morning. Here it is. Your daughter has some explaining to do. So that was me clogging the pool. And I would say, my case for this, as much as I don't want it to advance shamefully, I also want it to advance because I think as far as lasting impact goes, that was really the first of many embarrassing moments.
I was going to say, it's a catalyst.
It is. It's a catalyst.
Yeah. It set in motion a series of events involving...
That is still continuing.
Yeah.
It really hasn't stopped.
Yeah, no sign of slowing down.
No sign of slowing down. So I think that the overall life impact of that is very strong.
Yeah.
Also a great story to tell, after a couple high noons.
Yep. Well, and it's also, I haven't used that story as much, but I've used stories that came as a result when I'm describing you to my friends who haven't met you before.
Just give us an example.
Give
us an example of this.
Well, I feel like the high school gym is the one I tell people the most.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give any spoilers right now because there will be a podcast in the future about Anna's most embarrassing moments.
Just a bracket.
Yeah.
That one might be 64.
That's hard to narrow down.
Okay, so all right, what's your vote? PJ Pants?
I'm going clogging pool.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's the first upset of the turkey, guys. We got clogging pool at a 3 versus sitting on roof, the 1 seed. So that's round 2. Awesome.
I like it.
I feel like we're making very good time.
Yeah, I think
we're at 35 minutes.
Yeah.
We can get this done in an hour for sure.
Easily.
All right.
Do we go everyday life next, or do we do activities next?
Your choice. You go.
I say we go everyday life.
Okay.
Yeah. So everyday life, we have the number 1 seed Grandma's House versus the number 4 seed Television. It's pretty all encompassing. I did tell Anna before this it would be kind of depressing if our entire childhood memory bracket came down to the champion being TV, but there's more to it than that. Yeah, exactly. It was there.
Yeah.
Do you want to start off with Grandma's House?
Yeah. Grandma's house. So our grandparents lived a mile down the road from my parents, and every Sunday my grandma would have dinner for all 40 of us. We'd all go down there, eat. Her house was, not necessarily big enough for everyone. We'd squeeze in though, and then the kids would be quickly told to go outside. But you can't really do anything outside because grandma will yell at you if you climb a tree.
You can't do anything fun. Yeah.
We're downstairs in the basement, but you probably get yelled at if you were down in the basement too. She'd put the fear of God in you.
She liked to yell.
Yeah. There was one time where Philip, I think, hit the remote. What did you do?
No, it was around Christmas, and I broke. I broke the E. She had 4 mugs that spelled out Noel, and my cousins and I were playing pillow tag in the basement, and I threw a pillow at my cousin. I think I threw it at Stephanie, and she's very agile. She's very small. She's
Nimble.
a quick, small target, and she dodged it, and the pillow hit the E mug, knocked it off, shattered it, and so then it just said Noel, and I was absolutely mortified. So she had a landline in the basement though, so I picked up the phone and I called Lydia, who was at home. I don't know how this happened, where I was at Grandma's and Lydia wasn't, but Lydia was at home, and I ended up calling and talking to Lydia through this, and I was horrified.
Yeah, now also the most loving grandma in the world.
Oh yeah, she's the best.
Give you great hugs, make amazing food. She obviously cooked for all of us. So,
yeah.
But yeah, you didn't want to cross her, right? She's killed imaginary friends. She's been known to do that.
I forgot about that.
She bopped them.
Yeah.
So she also, I think, faked her own drowning in her bathtub one time.
That feels right.
Yeah, to trick one of my cousins. So, she is a woman of many humors. Anyway,
mostly dark. It's usually around murder or drowning.
Speaking of murder, we watched a lot of Diagnosis Murder down there. Ties into television, but then my grandpa got sick when I was 8, I think, and you were 5, and so we would go down with my dad pretty often in the summer. We'd go down multiple nights a week and just sit and hang out. We'd watch The Indians. We'd watch Diagnosis Murder. We'd watch Jeopardy. We'd watch Wheel of Fortune. Grandma's very good at Wheel of Fortune. So we spent a lot of our childhood down there. So I would say, momentary impact, high. Lasting impact, also high.
Yeah.
Still love.
Well, and you look at the relationships we have with our cousins. I mean, I would say that a lot of our cousins are some of our best friends.
Exactly.
So.
Because of that. Nostalgic strength, obviously very high. So many good treats that we had down there.
Yeah.
We're also, as a side note, doing another bracket simultaneously tomorrow on the best desserts.
Yeah.
So a lot of those emotions and convictions derive
stem from that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
From Grandma's house. Overall life impact also very high. Sitting down there with Grandpa too, especially. I mean, we don't, this is about levity, not about sadness. So we don't want to bring sadness into it, but watching him and being there throughout the end of his life was super special and definitely impactful.
Hard but good.
Yep. Let's go with television.
A lot of good shows out there, I tell you. Okay, so television though. We can give it its due here before Grandma's House inevitably moves on. But television. I mean, we have Seinfeld, which I actually had not watched Seinfeld in a really long time after my childhood because I saw the episodes so many times. When it came onto Netflix, Courtney and I watched through the whole series. I didn't realize just how much my sense of humor was molded by Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Every time Jerry would say something, I'd be like, preach. Like, yes, he's on it. He's got it. And I think Seinfeld's like the obvious one that stands out, but even little things, the commercial games during the Indians games.
That's true.
Right? Now, I mean,
the commercial game, if you want to play it at home, is to guess what the commercial is for before the commercial ends. Or just first. You just want to be the first one.
Yep.
Now it'd just be like pharmaceutical company. Company. Pick a pharmaceutical company. You can
skip and watch the little Zen YouTube thing.
Exactly. But that was great. Also, movies. So the lasting impact of movies is Philip and I are regular quoters of movies, right? And that really started in our youth, where we literally memorized movies. I think Narnia?
Yeah, Chronicles of Narnia.
Of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch,
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Yeah,
that was the one we memorized.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah,
one total memorization.
Yep.
I feel like there were a couple others that we memorized the entire.
Well, I feel like from our childhood there were probably a few more. I think some like comedy ones. Christmas Vacation is one that like
Sandlot.
Which I don't know how many. I mean, I was probably like 6 or 7 walking around quoting Christmas Vacation, which might not have been totally appropriate, but. Yeah, Sandlot, and then it's carried into our adult lives. Mm-hmm. I'm able to time my pee breaks during Lord of the Rings, and I will just quote the whole thing as I'm going. I know when I need to just like cut it off and get back in there.
Yeah, you come back like you picked up or left nothing.
Yep.
Okay, that's enough about television.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was.
Grandma's House wins.
Grandma's House moves on.
Yep, solid 1 seed.
All right, now this one I think is going to be tougher.
This will be tough.
We got Friday Night Football versus the 90s Indians.
I think I'm gonna let you take the lead on Friday Night Football.
Okay.
That feels fitting.
Yeah. All right. So Friday Night Football. We live in a small town, Chardon, Ohio, Northeast Ohio. Go Hilltoppers. Mm-hmm. And obviously, the high school football games are played on Friday night. So you and everyone in the town knows someone who's playing. You go, you have the crisp autumn air that's coming. There's some clouds in the sky, and you hear the marching band, and you see them run out on the field, and everyone is so excited because these are young men, right? These are the kids they grew up with. They're their sons, they're their grandsons, they're their best friends, their boyfriends, and everyone's just excited to watch them win, to watch them play. Mm-hmm. And then for us, our dad was also in charge of building a football field. So we spent a lot of time, I remember in middle school, up at the football field watching it be erected. And that was, like watching, the Coliseum be built or something, right? Huge. And then Grandpa, because he was sick, had the handicap spot. So him and Grandma would sit and watch the games from their handicap spot. So we'd go out and say hi to them too. And when you think about lasting impact, it's funny because my sister, Gail, started dating Mitch, who's now her husband, when I was 8, I think, and you were like 5, maybe 6 and 9. And so growing up, I thought, maybe like my husband will kind of be a high school football coach, maybe. And then you get to a point where you're like, well, that's silly. Why, I'm in Seattle. And I had kind of given up on that 10-year-old dream, right? That was more of a 10-year-old dream than it was. But that was what you saw. And then our dad was a football coach, so seemed appropriate. Anyways, here I am now, 25 years later, married to a high school football coach who is coaching with them. So really lasting impact. And I would say still, Friday Night Football holds that same little magic, right?
Yeah. It's the end of the week.
It is.
And there's nothing quite like it.
No. 90s Indians, though.
90s Indians, they were pretty big.
Yeah.
They were huge. The 90s Indians, again, this is a levity podcast, not a sadness podcast, but man, they should have won. They should have won the World Series.
They should have.
And, the 95 team, okay, look, there were some questionable calls in that, but at the end of the day, it was a 5-game series that they lost. I can get over that one. It was the 97 series.
That was a dagger.
Best team in the league. We're playing
Not
the
even
Marlins.
close.
They're a wild card team. They take us to 7 games. We have it, and then we lose it. And it was really my first taste of Cleveland sports heartbreak. And
we're sitting there, and I'm sitting on the chair next to the TV. I think Phil's in the back behind me. And what was it? Because they hit a single, right?
The game-winning hit was a single.
Yeah.
There was a ball that went under Fernando something.
Yeah.
I can't remember his last name. Great guy, our second baseman, great infielder. Ball scooted under his glove, and then
you were like, I wish Baerga was still there.
Yeah.
Baerga wouldn't have made that error.
Yeah.
But he wasn't there. He was on 95. And then, the single goes, so
up the middle.
The runner comes in, TV goes off, Philip starts crying.
Naturally.
Season over.
I'm not ashamed of that one.
No, you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
That is totally valid.
Yeah.
Oh, but they were so great. They were iconic.
Oh, so much
Kenny
fun.
Lofton, Omar Vizquel. We'd clip out newspaper clippings of them.
Collecting baseball cards.
Right. I would watch every game. I was glued to the television. I loved baseball. And now it's like, now the Indians are still good.
Yeah.
But those 90s Indians.
Yeah.
Were year after year.
Yep.
It really did. That all-star team, Jose Mesa, amazing.
And lasting impact for me, at the time at least, was I ended up playing baseball through college. Mm-hmm. And all of those guys. I mean, I could still name a bunch of the guys on that team, but Omar Vizquel, he was still the hero.
He really was. And he's still, he has so many gold gloves.
Yeah.
I feel like
he's still one of the best defensive shortstops in history.
Oh, those highlight reels were amazing.
Yeah, and then you get into, we actually went to a bunch of the games, too.
We did.
Went down to spring training a few times. We had the Loge.
The Loge was exciting. We didn't have the Loge, guys. It wasn't ours.
Yeah, it wasn't ours.
We bumped the Loge a couple times, though.
But I remember, specifically being in the Loge during a game that had, 3 rain delays.
Yes, it was so exciting.
It was so much fun, because you're in there, you're dry, you're happy, you're staying up late. It's great.
Loving it.
We were also in there for a game that had 2 brawls. Manny Ramirez got thrown out of the game. Just a great man. The 90s Indians were great.
And then Dad got the little Chief Wahoo tattoo on the back of his head.
Yeah. For clarification purposes, it was a haircut, not a permanent Chief Wahoo tattoo.
He also dyed his hair blonde.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was for the Indians. I think it was for the Indians though that he did. Kind of for the Indians. Maybe high school football too. I don't know.
I think it might have been high school football, actually.
Also with high school football, my first job was one of my first jobs. Might have been 2 or 3, I don't know. But was working at the Hilltopper for another football coach, Mark Percassi. And that was the start of my intense work schedule.
Also, I was a water boy for the high school football team for season. And I think it was only for a few games, because the first game I actually peed my pants, which is a recurring theme on this episode. But I was like, I could hold it till halftime, and then halftime was the game started moving slow. Some timeouts were used, and
bladder issues.
It was really just liquid pouring out. It's right.
Or something.
So there's that.
Okay, so which one are you going with?
I think you got to pick first this time. I'm locked in though. I know which one I'm picking. I'm locked in.
Okay, the other iconic Friday night football or loss, right, was the 98 state championship. So I think both of those.
Which I was not at that game.
Oh,
I was at the Ludlow's house, but that's the thing. I still remember where I was. We had on the radio there, and
yeah, there was a hook and ladder. So Mitch's team, our brother-in-law's team, should have won state. They were highly favored in our minds, at least. Yeah. And we go down, and they have the hook and ladder play. The hook and ladder. And then, I think the other thing, so then we're going driving down the field, and our quarterback throws an interception, and the crowd goes silent. Game over. Devastating. Yeah. But then the redemption of that, so the Indians have not yet been redeemed.
Right.
Whereas the redemption of that was Chardon High School football winning the 2020 state championship with, in a miraculous way, really.
Yeah, down 2 touchdowns, 6 minutes to go. They had just run a hook and ladder.
Exactly.
As a, almost like a, we're getting this back. This is, and But upon replay, the initial catch was made with a knee touching the ground. Touchdown overturned. We lose the ball. Feels like the game is over. People are starting to tear up in the crowd. And then
they're going back. I just got goosebumps.
I know. I get chills. Like, someone turn the air conditioning on in here. Oh man.
Yeah. I wish we could cut over sometime once I'm more, better at podcasts. We'll cut over to the clip.
Once Anna's more better at podcasts, then this is the first video podcast. So yeah, this is a lot to
Exactly. It's a lot to incorporate. But,
right.
But
wild game though.
That was. What was the pass to?
I think it was just basically Chardon, who relies a lot on the run game, historically has passed the ball very little, but when you're down by 2 touchdowns with 6 minutes left, you have to run some passing plays. They had one of the biggest plays was a wheel route.
Yes,
they had a wheel route to get
the
touchdown.
Yeah.
They got them within 7.
Yeah.
And then the very next drive, they had to go 90 yards, but the first play, or maybe the second play, they threw a slant route that ended up going for like 50 yards, and then you were in good shape.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Okay, so because of the redemption, because the Indians haven't been redeemed, although shout out to the Cavs before LeBron got annoying, we did win the NBA title, so Cleveland got redeemed.
Before he ditched us again.
Yeah. And becoming kind of a baby. Maybe he was always a baby, but now...
It was like a rose-tinted glasses situation,
exactly.
probably.
Yeah. But I'll take that.
Yeah. That championship was great, but I think we're on the same page here. Friday night football. Yeah.
All right. Friday night football versus Grandma's house, which brings us to the final region, folks. We have activities.
Mm-hmm.
Phil, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so the 1 seed is sporting activities. It could be our sports. It could be sports we made up on our own. The number 2 seed is video games. A lot of memories there that we'll dive into. Number 3, fort building. Probably the most relationship stressing activity on the list.
That's true.
But you grow from that,
Yeah, a lot of growth.
And then the 4 seed, the Goob traditions. Which I guess we're going to have to explain that one a little bit.
Yeah.
Which we can get into, I guess. Yeah, we can get into that right now. So the first matchup is sporting activities versus Goob traditions. Do you want to start with Lydia and her?
Yeah.
Let's unpack this.
Yeah, this could be a therapy session. So Lydia is probably the most eccentric of our siblings. Yes, we could say that. And I think that really instilled a lot in both Philip and me, and we've pulled the good from the
I was going to say, the positive things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that she created, one of the worlds that she created when we were younger, was the world of goobs. Mm-hmm. Right? So I think it started because Philip and I used to sleep on her floor in the summer. That was like our summer tradition. Very interesting tradition, which actually I could credit to why I sleep so well everywhere.
That's true.
I slept a lot of my childhood on the floor.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Instead of my bed.
Now planes, I'm like, this is luxury.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing.
There's a cushion.
Cushioned.
Yeah.
Amazing. We would also flip over all the handles on her dresser. We thought that was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, it was hilarious too.
Still holds.
Classic gag.
Classic gag. And so while we were in bed, she would tell us letters from the Goob family. And the Goob family was from the Fiji Islands, and we were part of the Goob family. And so this family on the Fiji Islands, or this tribe, if you will, would send us greetings, right? And so it started as that, and then it really just kind of grew and morphed into various activities that we would do. We made a lot of videos. Yeah. Which we could say lasting impact. Yeah. Music videos. Yeah. She really started the video craze. Did. That went more. That was also
that lasted a long time. Lasting impact. Yeah. There's a point. That also was really the only real argument that Lydia and I ever got into in my first 30 years of life was when she thought I wasn't being enthusiastic enough for her videos. And she was afraid, this was as we were teenagers, and she was afraid that I thought I was too cool for this when I was actually really looking forward to this the whole summer. And I don't think she realized how much passion I had for it. And then she started accusing me of not caring. And I was like, I'm giving it my all here. Anyway, the product, though, the final product, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. Mostly beautiful.
It hasn't aged great in some aspects.
But mostly, 80% really great.
Yeah.
We pulled it out there was I guess with the goobs too, an activity that we would do is melon head hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are from Chardon, Ohio, then you will know what melon heads are.
Mm-hmm.
If general Northeast Ohio area, if you're not, you won't. You just have to look at my head and just this is
a descendant. Yeah.
So the lore has it that there was a mad scientist who in the 50s, 40s, like around circa World War II afterwards, was experimenting and created melon heads. And
mm-hmm.
there's a house on
Wisner
Road that the light is always on. Why is the light always on? Who's paying the electric bill?
Mm-hmm.
The melon heads. I don't know how the melon heads don't, or him.
You're like, I don't know how the melon heads are paying the bill. Credit cards, maybe.
Checks. I don't know how that all works, but you go melon.
It's part of the mystery,
money, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. There's so much. So that was definitely a goob activity. We also, before she married Will, had to sit down at the Waffle House, one of our favorite, establishments.
Yeah.
And Lydia also thought that Will wasn't goob enough. Now, they've been married for 15 years now-ish?
Yeah.
Longer, I think. Close?
Yeah. It might be a little bit longer. Yeah, it's definitely longer.
Years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had a successful marriage, but I think that after 16 years that we can safely say Will's not a goob.
Yeah, that's one thing we can. Well, he was initiated at one point.
He was. We did initiate him before their wedding, the day before their wedding.
Yeah.
We took him up on our roof, obviously.
Where else?
We had a parade down the driveway to Wyclef Jean, staying alive.
Yep.
Classic. And then took him onto our roof and knighted him a goob, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's fallen away for sure.
Yeah.
Vance, we did not knight a goob, but I think he is goob-like. I think Courtney's goob-like too.
Courtney's definitely, she's got.
I excel at the goob life.
Yeah, full on.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the lasting impact, is it has maybe affected who we married. Anything else on goob?
I don't think so.
No. Okay,
I think we
sporting.
covered it. Yeah.
I will say I think the nostalgic strength of goob is there.
That's
for
huge.
Sure. Yeah. Sporting events, or sporting. So some of the main activities we would do as children, Philip played Little League Baseball and traveled a lot. Which meant my parents traveled a lot with them, leaving me at home by myself to fend for myself.
Yeah.
A lot.
She's doing okay though.
Yeah. I survived.
Yeah.
We would play, but in our backyard, we play a lot of garage door tennis, which was exciting because our garage door had a lot of cracks, so you never knew where the ball was going to go.
Yeah, very unpredictable.
Yeah, had to be scrappy.
Yeah.
So I think really instilled a sense of scrappiness and grit in us that we've carried to this day. Then knockout, course, a lot of basketball games.
Yeah, a lot of basketball games.
Never 1v1, but a lot of shooting, which I would say my jump shot's still pretty decent.
Yeah. And
for not having played basketball. Your jump shot's decent too. More decent probably than mine.
I don't know. Probably, I guess.
Yeah.
But you always had a good jump shot.
Yeah, thank you.
That was
And then
annoying.
Riding bikes. What else we got under sporting activities?
I don't know how much hiking really falls under this, but if we do count the fact that we would spend the full day in the woods, walking around and climbing around, swinging on vines.
That's true.
I don't know if it really falls under.
Building, though,
oh, right. Yeah. You're right.
Okay.
Yep. That's a good call.
So actually, as I'm talking through this, I feel like the nostalgic strength of goob traditions might outdo the overall life impact of the sporting. Even though our sports as individuals, I think maybe had a stronger life impact, us doing them together.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I kind of agree with that.
Okay.
Yep.
So we got a 1-4 upset.
Yep.
That's exciting. Incidentally, this side of the bracket is
a little more unpredictable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you always have one of those, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we got Goob, traditions, moving on.
So then the last matchup of the episode here.
Yeah.
Number 2 seed video games versus the number 3 seed fort building. This is a tough one. Yeah, this could get intense.
Okay, so video games.
So I mean, there's obviously the big ones from the childhood. I think the biggest one, Tomb Raider. I feel like that's the iconic one. Pac-Man World, Frogger.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Crash.
Yeah.
I'd say those are the big
I think
four.
those are the big 4. Yeah.
For sure. But they were big.
They were huge.
Now I will say too, it's funny because I don't think Mom ever put a limit on the time that we played video games, but we didn't play them like.
Yeah, we didn't play them much.
But we were outside a lot. But then we would play, and so Tomb Raider, for instance, I think really helped our problem solving skills.
Yes.
I still think that it's very difficult. I mean,
I'm 32 and I was playing Tomb Raider the other day, and it is hard.
Yeah.
Like there were times where I was like, my brain's too tired for this. I'm done with it.
Mm-hmm. And we thought about using cheat codes. Never used cheat codes though.
Yeah. Integrity. It was a real test of integrity.
Mm-hmm. And I think we passed with flying colors, which again has impacted our life. Problem solving, not taking the easy way out, resilience. Crash Bandicoot had our favorite line in it, which is our one tie-in to church in this all, is that the elements.
The elements.
So when you take communion at church, they are referred to as the elements, at which point Philip and I look at each other and say,
the elements.
Every time. Doesn't get old.
Yeah.
30 years.
Still
cool.
Every time I'm like, I nailed it again.
Also, the game that you picked up later in life, it was the first game that I beat on my
Uncharted.
own. Uncharted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that was like very Tomb Raider-like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a big moment for me because I beat a whole video game on my own. So that was exciting. So video games for sure. Also, I mean, Ms. Pac-Man.
Right.
Pac-Man, still play that. Still has a couple records on some
I'm
Turnpike.
killing it. Yeah, when Courtney and I started dating, I actually held the Ms. Pac-Man high score on, I can't remember which plaza it was. I also don't want to give that out because I don't want people hunting. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I held it there it was a couple of years that every time I went there, I looked, my score was still at the top.
Tie back to Seinfeld because it's still relatable.
The Frogger episode, which is a classic. One of my all-time favorites. Yep.
I've been waiting for this my whole life.
This is familiar.
Fort building. This very character building. So we built. There are two major seasons. You got the summer and winter. You got the winter buildup from the plowed snow.
Mm-hmm.
Very
snow tunnels. Those were huge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you got the woods. And Philip and I spent, probably all day in the woods. Sometimes. We would just be out there.
Yeah, I mean, we had what was it? Was it East Vinland, West Vinland?
Yeah. I don't think we had north. I think we did probably have north and south.
We probably threw it in north and south somewhere.
We created teepees with sticks, and so that you had to hunt for sticks.
Yep.
We also had Lincoln log little desks with stones.
And there are still. If you go out into
there are remnants.
Yeah, if you go out in ruins, really. Yeah,
ruins exactly.
Wow. Someone like Laura Croft would probably go explore that.
Yeah. They could last for ages. And then we did make some sick snow forts too. And remember that one year where there was a natural igloo that was made and we had the little patio outside?
That was the best.
That was phenomenal.
I think that in terms of our fighting, I seem to remember more fighting in the winter.
That's true.
Forts, which I think the cold probably contributes to that a little bit.
I think so too.
I cried more in the winter. I remember that. I cried a lot.
You're a winter crier.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was cold out. And then you're trying to figure out what to do. And then you could always whitewash someone, right?
There was the winter of terror, where at the beginning of winter you told me that at some point you were going to whitewash me. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, I don't remember there being a reason. I don't feel like I deserve this. But she told me in November that at some point in the winter when the snow was there, she was going to whitewash me, which is basically just taking my face and shoving it in the snow. And then you waited. I remember you waited until like, it was like February when it finally happened. So the entire winter, like I was constantly checking my corners.
On edge.
And yeah. Horrible winter. Basically lost all of 1997.
Video game. Okay, so we got nostalgic strength. I think that the forts that I really enjoyed were the summer forts, and then that also kind of goes into exploring in the woods because we didn't have houses behind us for a long time. So we lived on 5 acres, but really it was endless.
Yeah.
You were not there.
You occasionally ran into a hunter.
Yeah. You were not there when Bethany and I got lost for what I thought. Were you with us?
I think I was with you.
You were
guys.
with us. Yeah. Because we were.
It's easy to get turned around back there.
We were exploring a different part of the woods, and then yada yada. We didn't know where we were, and I was making plans on how we were going to forage for us.
Right.
And
yeah.
Thankfully, Bethany had softball practice, so her dad came, and we were right by the edge of the woods. We weren't very far.
Yeah, we were pretty close. We were pretty safe.
But that was scary. I, went into full little house on the prairie mode.
And were you with me? I'm assuming you were when we found the rat skull.
Yes. Yeah.
That was was creepy.
This wasn't our woods, but when you were with Robert Landis and put the antenna in your
that doesn't feel related at all. That doesn't seem like something that needs to get brought up.
So yes,
we were on a driveway. We weren't even in the woods. Oh. My puncture wound.
Puncture. We'll bypass that. We found but we found a lot of trails back in our woods. And I do feel like the building. So the lasting impact for fort building is we're builders, right? We are creators for video games.
If there's one thing people see when they look at me, I mean, look at the door we just took off and put back on.
Yeah, don't worry. We took off a door and put it back on. No big deal.
I've had to shave my beard 3 times during this podcast because of the manual labor I've been doing today.
I have hung curtain rods.
Yeah.
I've done a lot. Okay. What's your vote?
I think I'm going fort building. Oh boy.
I don't know.
Oh man.
I was gonna.
It's hard though.
I know.
Like, especially, I'm thinking specifically Tomb Raider. It's hard for me to get past that because, again, our sense of exploration, one could attribute somewhat to raiding tombs.
That's true. We raided a lot of tombs. But those forts were really amazing. And I feel, so I'm going to go fort building only because it is a lost art, and I feel like kids don't get out in the woods enough.
I agree. I was going to say, I feel like I want my kids to go out and build forts.
Exactly. So, and I'm going to encourage them to go out into the woods. Now, my husband wants our woods pruned, which I don't understand because they're woods, and the point is there are things in them. He wants to have them cleaned up, but we are going to have a dirty woods, and our kids are going to build forts. All right. Great. So that's another episode. So we got fort building.
Yeah.
Okay. So should we recap it for the people?
I think we should.
Okay.
They're invested.
Yeah. You recap this side, and I'll recap this side.
Okay, perfect. So going into round 2 then, we will have the 1 seed Cedar Point taking on the 2 seed Ellicottville in the Trips region. In the Everyday Life region, we'll have the 1 seed Grandma's House taking on the 2 seed Friday Night Football.
Mm-hmm. A very vanilla side over there. You got the 1 versus 2. Now over on the other side, we got the Life Shaping region. That we have the 1 seed sitting on the roof versus the 3 seed clogging the pool. It's going to be 2 very different arguments for that. And then in the Activities region, we have both upsets. The number 3 seed Fort Building facing the number 4 seed Goob Traditions. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to next time. I think we got a lot to mull over. We got to pull up some new arguments too, some new material. We can't let this get stale, obviously.
Right, yeah. You don't want stagnation.
No, no stagnation. With that, let's sign off. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I don't. I'm happy with how this turned out. I think that... Yeah, we got some strong contenders. It's anyone's game.
It is. I think the committee did a great job with ranking, with seeding, with considering the intangibles and the tangibles. So, great job, us.
Yeah, we killed it. Wow.
Thank you, everyone.
Signing off from the panic
room.
Thank
you, producer.
Yeah, thank you, producer Courtney.
Do you want me to hold the paper up there? absolutely.
We didn't really mark anything.
Okay,
No.
never
Yeah.
mind.
But maybe we should